Do you think? Because I don't think it is self-evident to most people. I don't think most people are going to look at this technology and say, oh yeah, we could use this within a social network. People don't think like that because we're not interacting like that around products now. We don't.
No.
Not in that kind of way, especially not online. Especially it's not facilitated by technology. You might do it offline. You might say, oh, that's a cool phone you've got. But it happens with the stuff you carry around with you, the clothes you wear.
I guess it's a bit easy to get too close to this and start making assumptions that,
That's how you see it, I suppose, yes.
Yeah. Because I've been thinking and working on some of this for a while with a couple of friends, so a lot of this is just,
It's a fabulous idea.
Out of interest, what have you been working? Because that gives us more of an idea of like
we
what
were
you're
looking
thinking
at the
about.
idea of basically just by giving everything, creating an internet of things. Basically, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, everything by giving everything its own hyperlink, that you can hang all kinds of cool stuff from it. So all the stuff we described here.
Yeah.
You can look at how people just you can pretty much map anything that's happening on the internet and then just add a extra layer of context to it by happening in an actual place.
Yeah.
So like in Amazon, you look at Amazon, suddenly Amazon with place gives you something interesting happening about, say, like, this wedge card idea of supporting a small business instead of a large business. There's loads of really cool stuff you can do from there once it's actually in the real world. If you're looking for a soundbite, you've got this bleed between the world of bits and atoms, and this is pretty much your bridge between the two.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, can I just interrupt here for a second? Don't want to kind of stop the flow, but can you just explain, just for the cameras, what this discussion is about a little bit?
What it's about. I mean, essentially, we're trying to explore like how people would actually make use of this technology, using barcodes as a kind of entry point into some kind of digital information resource. How will people actually use that? I mean, the obvious one is user reviews of things. And that's kind of what the guys have been assuming, that's what we're kind of developing for. But actually we've come up with a whole bunch of different ideas, looking at the ethical, the kind of product lifestyle, getting a wider picture of what this product is and what life it has led and will lead, the social aspects of it, as well as the kind of technical features of that product, the specifications of it. That you can't print all of the details on the actual box because the box isn't big enough. But with a digital resource, a digital information resource, you don't have those kind of limitations. So.
I mean, the first thing that strikes me is like the sort of difference between like every product these days has got their own website where they've got information that they want to convey about products, which is not necessarily the same as the information that the people want to convey. But what is going to be the relationship between that kind of official information and the I guess the more social
angle,
public,
isn't it? Because that's something we've kind of touched on, because we were trying to think of the business model that might exist around this kind of system, and we've thought that there are lots of businesses that would like to provide richer information about their products to their customers. But as you say, maybe there's actually going to be some conflict there, conflict of interests.
All I can think about at the moment is Marmite, because Hector's a massive fan of Marmite. And he would be on the Marmite wiki site all the time. All kinds of Marmite recipes.
I guess we can kind of look at what's happening on Facebook, because how Facebook now has these.
Is that a reaction to the word Facebook?
I don't think so. I think you just got something to work. Facebook is maybe dealing with this kind of conflict now, because they've got these fan pages for companies and for products, and people can become a fan of it, and I think they can discuss it, but be interesting maybe to look at how they've limited the interactions that you can have on a kind of official fan page.
But then would jumping to that, would the product or would the brands not organise that anyway? They've already got the websites, like you said, they already give you information they want. But the thing about this, possibly, I've only just jumped in here, is that this will make it slightly more transparent in what they do and how they work. So, but then you could give them the option. So, for example, if you were having the revenue stream being that the company will pay for them to be on this service, you can say, right, can we find out where your products are from ethically? Can we find out how you're producing this clean front, the background about it. You'll get that on most websites. For example, I think Primark's even got a section about being ethical, but everyone knows that's not the way it works. But it's very selective. Whereas, I mean,
that's the thing, is are we a community information resource, or are we looking at just being a way of jumping into...
And then will it say more by not saying, so for example, if they choose not to say where they're from, people might go, oh, that's quite interesting. Why are they not saying it? So it's almost, but it's not putting the ownership on the site to say, well, actually, that's not our responsibility. We're just passing on the information we've been given. Because to source all this information, you're going to need to be working with the companies anyway.
But I think that people will give it much less credibility if it's funded by, by large corporations. And the whole point about Wikipedia, why it's such a valuable resource, is because it's just people with lots of different opinions and different views. But it's vehemently independent, and that's why people trust it, I think.
It's true.
Then it comes down to what the products are, because the product has to be barcoded, doesn't it? So, and that's looking in the future. So
that's the kind of technical limitation of the context we're working in. Obviously, if we look a few years, or maybe even a few months, I don't know, but a few years into the future, maybe a lot more things will actually be tagged with RFID tags and QR codes. But today, we have quite a limited selection of products we're thinking about. But even still, I think, even around the products that do have barcodes, like, I don't know, food, for instance, that probably ticks all these boxes. Would be interesting, ethical side of it, social side of, did your friend enjoy this? They like good food.
Can they recommend something that's going to go well? When
recipes
you've got Wikipedia,
a whole load of other content that could come with it. So actually, although the barcode thing kind of limits the scope of the context,
because it needs boundaries.
But I'm not sure it really constrains massively the type of information that people would be interested in. I mean, I don't think there's a key just one thing that goes with barcodes. I think barcodes are quite a generic kind of technology for tagging stuff.
And like you said, in the future it's going to be much bigger, which means this will already be set in place, and maybe perhaps, well, that's great, then that's an angle, definitely just starting with that side. I think I came into it very business-like.
But business is good, because actually we haven't, before you mentioned, we haven't thought about money at all. And actually, for any business, for any idea to get off the ground, unless they can get significant community involvement like Wikipedia has got, then they're going to need some money to coming in somewhere. And as you rightly say, this is where the conflict potentially comes in. Maybe we should talk more about how we deal with that conflict.
I don't think you necessarily have a conflict there for that.
Well, as they say,
You don't necessarily have a conflict. Once you have if you build a simple site that hopefully just works and you can leave it there working, well, you need people to maintain it, but you don't actually need money to pay.
Yeah, that's the thing about the reason this project. The reason we've chosen this project rather than jumping into like 3-4 years away with RFID codes and QR codes is that barcodes are already there. We don't need, there's no need to actually get this stuff out there. There's already a database full of which we can like plug into. There's all this stuff out there, and from
it's just
that,
kind of linking. If you put a really simple sort of plug that stuff together, then it's kind of done.
Yeah, that's why we're looking at this now rather than actually. That's what kind of drew me to this, because this is something that can be done relatively quickly. The stuff we're talking about now is lovely, but it's kind of a big subject, and there are people and there are loads of books that have been written about this already, and there's loads of really interesting stuff. But for now, let's focus on getting a product out, basically, or get something done rather than really focusing on all this stuff, because there's lots of really interesting conversation out there already.
Yeah, but what data do we plug into? That's where these scenario things come to. Are you assuming we're just looking at stuff up on Wikipedia? Is that the focus of this?
Given the time constraints, I think it's quite good to actually just literally have something like you mentioned here, put something out there, then iterate from there, see what happens. There's no need to go.
If you build the simplest thing, and then you see how people use that. So we give people a blank canvas pretty much. We're giving them a text box that says, "What do you want to put in about this product?"
From there, then they can.
Obviously, there's a risk.
I still think it would be interesting though on Sunday not to just say we built this thing and there's a big text box you can put stuff in, but actually give some people ideas what they could actually put on this blank canvas.
I think we really should have some
conversation.
example semantic markups environmentally. issues.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some environmental ratings,
Yeah.
carbon footprint or something like
Yeah.
that. Or
Because
if it's
otherwise,
food,
we
then
might
the
show
equivalent of
it. We might show
calories
it
and
to
stuff.
people, and they just see this big blank page, and they go, "Great."
Yeah,
What-
that's
I know,
right.
we'll have
do
some
we do with
examples
it?
of it, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're
And as soon- but as
going
soon
to
as-
come back and find out now that we've opened that can of worms if whether all the worms are back in the can later on. Thank you very much, and good luck with what you're doing. We'll see you a bit later on.